Fear and self-doubt are silent barriers that live in the mind. Yet they have the power to control entire lives. They don't make noise. They don't announce themselves loudly. Instead, they whisper. They whisper things that sound believable. They tell you to slow down, to hesitate, to question yourself. They tell you that you are not ready, not capable, not strong enough. And over time, if you listen long enough, those whispers become your reality. Most people think fear is something external, something they can see or touch. But the most dangerous fear is internal. It is the fear of failure, the fear of judgment, the fear of stepping into the unknown. It is the fear that stops you before you even begin. And self-doubt works alongside it, reinforcing every hesitation. It convinces you that even if you try, you won't succeed. It makes you believe that other people are more qualified, more talented, more deserving. But here is the truth that many people never realize. Fear and self-doubt are not facts. They are stories. Stories created by your mind based on past experiences, past failures, and sometimes even other people's opinions. And just like any story, they can be rewritten. Think about how many times you have stopped yourself from doing something simply because you were afraid. Not because it was impossible, but because it felt uncomfortable. Maybe you wanted to start something new, speak up, take a risk, or chase a goal that truly mattered to you. But instead of moving forward, you hesitated. You waited. You told yourself, maybe later. And that later turned into days, months, even years. Fear has a way of making you believe that staying where you are is safer than moving forward. But what it doesn't tell you is that staying the same has a cost, a very high cost. The cost of missed opportunities, unrealized potential, and a life that feels incomplete. Because deep down, you know when you are holding back. You can feel it. You can feel the gap between where you are and where you could be. Self-doubt makes that gap feel even wider. It tells you that you are not good enough to close it. It reminds you of your past mistakes and uses them as evidence against you. It replays moments where things didn't go your way and convinces you that those moments define who you are. But they don't. They never did. Your past is not your identity. Your mistakes are not your definition. They are lessons. They are part of the process. And every person who has ever achieved something meaningful has gone through that process. They have felt fear. They have experienced doubt. The difference is they did not let those feelings decide their actions. You don't need to eliminate fear to move forward. That is one of the biggest misconceptions. People wait until they feel confident, until they feel ready, until they feel certain. But that moment rarely comes. Confidence is not something you gain before you act. It is something you build by taking action. Action is the turning point. Action is what breaks the cycle. The moment you take a step forward, no matter how small, you begin to weaken the grip that fear and self-doubt have on you. It doesn't disappear instantly, but it loses its control. And with each step, you start to prove to yourself that you are capable. It might not feel comfortable. In fact, it probably won't. Growth never does. Growth requires you to step into unfamiliar territory. It requires you to face uncertainty. It requires you to do things before you feel ready. But that is exactly where transformation happens. If you wait for comfort, you will stay the same. If you wait for certainty, you will never begin. And if you wait for fear to disappear, you will wait forever. Instead, you must learn to move with fear, to act in spite of it, to recognize it, but not obey it. Fear can exist, but it does not get to decide what you do next. There is a powerful shift that happens when you stop asking, "What if I fail?" and start asking, "What if I succeed?" That shift changes everything. It opens possibilities instead of closing them. It allows you to see opportunities instead of obstacles. But even more important than that is understanding this. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of it. Every failure teaches you something. Every mistake brings you closer to improvement. Every setback builds resilience. The only true failure is never trying at all. Self-doubt will try to convince you otherwise. It will tell you that failing means you are not good enough. It will tell you that making mistakes is proof that you should stop. But that is not the truth. The truth is that every successful person you admire has failed more times than you can imagine. They just didn't stop. They kept going when it was difficult. They kept trying when it didn't work. They kept believing when there was no evidence. And over time, that persistence turned into results. You have that same ability within you. It is not reserved for a select few. It is not something you are born with or without. It is something you develop. It is something you build through consistent effort and determination. But it starts with a decision A decision to stop letting fear control your choices. A decision to stop listening to self-doubt as if it is the truth. A decision to take responsibility for your actions and your future. Because at the end of the day, your life is shaped by the choices you make, not the fears you feel, but the actions you take despite those fears. There will be moments when it feels overwhelming, moments when you question everything, moments when you wonder if it is worth it. In those moments, remember why you started. Remember what you want. Remember the person you are trying to become, and keep going. Not perfectly, not flawlessly, but consistently. Consistency is more powerful than intensity. You don't need to make huge leaps every day. You just need to keep moving forward, one step at a time, one action at a time. Over time, those small steps add up. They create momentum. They build confidence. They change how you see yourself. And eventually, the things that once scared you will no longer have the same power. Not because fear disappeared, but because you grew stronger. You proved to yourself that you can handle it. You showed yourself that you can adapt, learn, and improve. You built trust in your own ability. That is how you overcome fear and self-doubt. Not by avoiding them, but by facing them. Not by waiting, but by acting. Not by hoping, but by doing. So ask yourself this. What is one thing you have been avoiding because of fear? What is one step you know you should take but haven't? Start there. Don't overthink it. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait until you feel ready. Just begin. Because the longer you wait, the stronger fear becomes. But the moment you act, you take your power back. Your future is not determined by your fears. It is determined by your actions. Your potential is not limited by your doubts. It is unlocked by your courage. And your life will not change until you decide to change it. So make that decision today. Choose courage over comfort. Choose action over hesitation. Choose belief over doubt. Because everything you want is on the other side of fear. And the moment you step toward it, even with uncertainty, even with doubt, even with fear still present, is the moment your life begins to transform. Keep going. Keep pushing. Keep believing. You are capable of more than you think. And it's time to prove it to yourself.